Update: Coworker cut my hair after saying my hair would look great shorter. Original post: I work remote, and thus I can do whatever I like with my clothes and hair. I love it, even though I'm a bit new to it. We have an office in my city where we have events, and some non-remote workers are based there. My coworker Terry works remote, and we meet every Thursday morning to interface for projects that cross over our departments. Since I've met him, he has always had comments on my hair and clothes, but it's whatever. He often says that my big curly hair would look a lot better short, and even showed me a photo of his wife, who has hair like mine but wears it really short. I just don't like my hair short. Sue me. So I just go, not for me, I'm afraid. We have a holiday party next week, so I volunteered to help set it up. Not because I'm some great nice person. Mind you, I get paid extra and get extra vacation days, and the Caribbean is calling me LOL. Terry is also helping. He had some scissors and showed us with aluminum foil how cutting it can make scissors sharper. He kept saying, "It cuts so smooth," and kept cutting random stuff, and then he grabbed some of my hair and cut it. It was me, him, and his teammate, and it quickly escalated. HR, of course, was notified. He says he didn't mean to, but just got wrapped up in it and let his intrusive thoughts win. He says he's on the spectrum and he's incredibly sorry. A coworker told me he is saying I must hate him and that he's been depressed since. HR is pulling me into a meeting tomorrow, and per our policy, they explicitly say what the meeting is about, what my thoughts are, and how I would like to move forward. I know I don't want to see this guy if I can help it, and I do want the cost covered for my stylist appointment. I don't really want police involved. My hair goes past my butt, and he cut right at my hip, so it was a good chunk. I'm angry, and I usually want to believe the best in people, but I don't want to here. I mean, it's freaking nuts. And everyone is saying how insane it is, and that he's a bit of a goofball but overall just excitable and sweet. I guess my question is, how do I even handle this? What do I ask for reasonably, and what is my rage and anger speaking? I'm so upset, but I can't talk to anyone else about it because my family and friends would just want me to go scorched earth. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Premeditated on his behalf. See, that's what I'm worried about. It just feels like too much of a coincidence. I'm sorry this happened. As a person of color with very curly hair, how did you grow your hair long enough to make it to your butt? I don't think I've ever seen that before. Typically, our hair will break long before that. This potentially adds a new level of messed up to what this guy did. I'm black on both parents' side and part indigenous on my mother's side. I didn't want to mention in the post because I didn't want to run on the assumption this was racist, mostly because if it is, this is a whole other beast and I hate confrontation. What he did is actually a criminal offense, as it would constitute battery, I think, or maybe assault? I imagine if you wanted to go scorched earth, he would be sacked, and if you went the other way and played it off, he might be given a first and final warning. I don't think your company would pay, or can make him pay for a hairdresser, but you could report the incident to the police. Exactly. The fact that he physically altered your appearance without consent makes it a clear violation, no matter his intent or personality. It's not something to just brush off because he's seen as a goofball. You have every right to escalate this, and HR needs to take it seriously. Now for the first update. I'm at a pub near HQ enjoying a beer, because I am off for the rest of the day in Cannes. I went into the HR meeting, and it went like this. I took a lot of advice from your comments, and also broke down and explained everything to my mom, best friends, and of course my partner. All were livid, but I got good advice from them as well. So how about that Crown Act? Also, in my state this is a huge deal both locally and federally. So I had further confirmation I wasn't overreacting by being rattled and pissed. I preemptively sent a formal email to HR asking for the records, as this is a police matter, and requesting their cooperation. That got attention, and now instead of just meeting with a rep from HR, the meeting changed by the time I logged on this morning to include new names added to the calendar invite. I sat down with Anne, who is my direct supervisor, Gary, the HR lead, and Leon, who is the supervisor of the offender. First was a long apology. Very HR. This should never have happened, and we take these matters very seriously, etc. Then they talked about what they've already done. He is currently suspended, written up, and if he returns, he will need to do mandatory training. This has all been documented with witness statements that will be shared with me. I am given the option to work directly with Leon now on matters that branch from my department into his. They reminded me that my job offers free therapy through an online program, but I am already in regular therapy, so they offered to cover this month via reimbursement. I am given paid leave through January 6th, effective as soon as I walked out of the meeting. I will still be paid for my time on the party and the bonuses promised to me for working on it, but I will no longer be required to assist with prep going forward. Then they gave me the floor, asking what, if anything, more I wanted done. How was I? I started with thanking them for their attention on this matter. I mentioned that while I do want to believe the best in people, it bears noting that this can be viewed as assault and possibly racially driven. I explained that ethnic hair takes a lot to maintain, and as a Black woman, I do a lot to ensure its health and length. I reiterated his repeated comments about my hair and how I felt this might have been targeted and that I never want to be around this man again. I said I would be filing a police report due to the seriousness of him not only touching me without permission, but using a dangerous object to cut my hair. I then said that I'd sent images to my hairstylist and expected to be reimbursed for the services needed to manage my altered hair. They asked how much that might be, and I said I wasn't sure, as I have an emergency appointment this Saturday. Anne spoke up and said that might not be possible, but phrased it to Gary as a question. Gary said he would need to look into it, but Leon spoke up and said that he, as a Black man, would be shocked if they didn't cover this, and reinforced my point that Black hair care is expensive and time-consuming. He spoke of the company culture and how we are supposed to not only be against discrimination, but claim to be anti-racist. It wouldn't be right to not make this right because OP is being so calm right now, and I'm impressed because that's some next-level racism from where I sit. I confirmed that I am shaken and very, very angry, but also a professional, and I wanted the meeting to be productive. Ultimately, Gary gave me a tentative yes, and I requested an email confirming all the points and promises made in this meeting. I received that about an hour ago, with confirmation that I need only send an invoice or receipt to Gary. In the meeting, I was told that an email had been sent directly to HR but addressed to me from the man who cut my hair. They said I didn't have to read it, but they would send it to me if I wanted. I did, at least for the sake of having confirmation and a confession in writing. All in all, I think things went okay under the circumstances. I did show them the damage to my hair, and Leon was visibly pissed. I honestly think the guy will eventually be sacked. If not for this, then for literally any other reason, based on his boss's reaction. Last night I cried about my hair. At the time I felt like I was being a crybaby. It's just hair at the end of the day. But it occurred to me that it's a big part of me and my identity, and it connects me to my indigenous roots. I said that in the meeting too, but it's just heartbreaking. Nothing is undone. My stylist said based on the photos, I will need to at least trim a bit off the bottom. A commenter suggested a smile shape, so I suggested it to my stylist. We'll see. My mom, who is easily the best mom in the world, texted me right before my meeting ended to ask how it went, and I told her everything I told you all. She said she was proud of me for standing up for myself and urged me to alert the police. So I will. She wants me to sue also, but is only lightly suggesting it. It just sounds stressful, and this was already traumatic, so I think I'll worry about that after the holidays. Now I have a lot of time to burn. I'm not used to having no work. I used to work multiple jobs, side hustles, all that. But after I got this job, the pay and benefits are great, and I now make enough to live comfortably without fear of being short on rent or skimping on the food budget. That's why I put my all into it. I've been commended multiple times already, and if I do say so myself, I'm a great employee. It was nice to have that reflected back, but I have to admit, I'm still angry. I also feel some sort of way about Anne in the meeting. She was nice. She handed me a tissue when I teared up, but otherwise looked so uncomfortable it was distracting. She looked like she was being tortured, and I was like, girl, no one is having fun here, get it together. But I know I'm in my feelings. So now I guess I need to figure out how to fill my time for a while. Trip? Decorating? New hobby? Old hobby? Thoughts? I could use suggestions. Lastly, it occurs to me that a lot of folks in the comments have been following my insane life, so I wanted to thank everyone for the DMs with uplifting words, jokes, hair care suggestions, and the like. It really makes this crappy situation easier. So from my heart to yours, I wish you all a lovely holiday. I know they can be hard for many people. Hopefully you can find a little joy regardless. Leon sounds like the only one with their head on straight there. And acting like she's the victim while you're literally dealing with assault is peak corporate awkwardness. I'm very grateful for him speaking up. I honestly was a little wary of him at first because he used to love that guy. They hung out outside work, though I don't know if they're very close or just work buddies. I'm glad also he spoke from the experiences and place of being a Black person, knowing the cultural and practical ins and outs to help me through talking through it. He really came through. I owe that guy a gift basket or something. Is that what people do? Give gift baskets? Lol, I don't know, maybe just some wine or something. Girl, just relax. Decorate for the holidays, if you haven't already, and do something you've always wanted to do but never have, either because of jobs and or money. It's been a stressful several days, so enjoy your time off. Also, I don't know how to feel about Anne being uncomfortable either. Like, you said she's your direct supervisor, and that Leon is the supervisor for the man who assaulted you? If that's the case, then where the hell was she in that meeting? Why was Leon advocating more for you than she was? It definitely feels like she didn't have your back in there, which is kind of icky. I mean, maybe an explanation could be if she's young or white or new, that maybe she was nervous about speaking up. But again, if that's the case, then why is she in a supervisory position? Weird vibes. So I'm glad they gave you the time off, so that you don't have to be around her for a while. Right? I was pretty let down. Anne is white, I think, but has an adopted kid who is Black, so I was confused. We bonded because when I first joined, she said she was fairly new there too. She'd been there for like 4 months before I came along, and then randomly asked me about black hair because she has no clue, and her daughter's hair is a mystery to her. I gave her links to my stylist's YouTube that has tutorials and such, and my stylist's info. So I was like, girl, where are you? It's so frustrating. She's normally quite vocal and is a huge anti-racism poster on her socials. Her partner is a person of color too, just not Black. Ugh. Edit/mini update. I wanted to quickly update now that the day is over. I spent most of my day doing things that bring me joy. I randomly went to the museum, had an espresso martini, etc. But first, I finished moping at the bar I was at and reported it to the police. It was stressful, but I wanted it out of the way, as my lawyers strongly suggested I do so now in the event that I sue later. I did check my email and read his email to me that was funneled through HR. There's a very clear admission of what happened. He had very odd reasoning and repeated intrusive thoughts, and noted he is on the spectrum. He also mentioned that remote work saved him because he's awkward and just wants to be friendly, but admits he took things too far. Last story. My grade 1 teacher tried to tell my mom I never did homework. I struggled in grade 1 a bit for whatever reason. Being moved into a new class twice in the first 2 months might have had an effect, especially with learning to read. My mom ended up putting big labels on everything in our home to help me out. I still distinctly remember refrigerator being one of them. So anyway, at that grade at that school, parents had parent-teacher meetings twice a year for the parents to find out from the teacher how the kid is doing, where they need help, etc. At one of these, my teacher told my mom that she was very concerned and disappointed in my progress. She claimed something like I couldn't write any letters of the alphabet at all yet or something. Side note, apparently mom was told that it will be fine as long as OP can read and write by grade 5. The teacher then told my mom that I had never handed in a single piece of completed homework. The homework mostly being activities to practice writing letters. They were all in a single thinnish book we were given at the start of the year. My mom was confused. She was sure I'd been doing the homework. The teacher was adamant, no, I had done none of the homework. My mom said, well, can we have a look now? I can see you have the homework books on your desk here now. Can we pull out OP's and see where the problem is? They pulled mine out of the pile and opened it up. Not only was every single page completed that should have been, but each page had been set out with space for the parent's signature to show they had seen that the page was completed, and the teacher's signature to show when they reviewed the homework that had been handed in. Obviously, the work had been handed in. The teacher had the book on her desk. Every page also had my mother's signature. Not a single page had my teacher's signature. I think ultimately there were several reasons my mom decided she had to go ahead and teach me to read entirely herself. P.S. After this teacher and everything in our house getting labeled, my reading level was always several years ahead of my age level. So I guess I'd recommend the label approach to helping your kid learn to read and write. Was it incompetence, or did she have some kind of motive? No idea. It could even be she didn't remember me enough to know which child she was talking about. There was, to my knowledge, never anything else that happened to indicate it might have been malicious. My mom also had to teach me to read. In kindergarten, the teachers had this weird idea that the bigger kids were more advanced than the smaller ones. I'm both small and disabled, so they didn't even try to teach me because they thought I wouldn't get it. My very non-confrontational mother actually went to the teacher and demanded the teaching material. Over spring break, she sat me down and taught me to read. When I got back, they tested all the kids. They would then bring them to the principal, and they would check it and say something like, "Oh, you can read 20 words. That's good." When my turn came, the principal looked at the paper and with a voice of utter shock said, "You can read 60 words? I now write for a living." I am a survivor of a social experiment that was conducted in several states during the 1960s. The results were revealed to the public during the 1980s. The Department of Education spread the idea through education systems that children with blonde hair and blue eyes were more intelligent than children with dark hair and dark eyes. 2 years later, they spread the word that they had been mistaken. Instead, children with dark hair and dark eyes were much more intelligent than children with blonde hair and blue eyes. When the results were made public, they said that teachers in general paid more attention to and provided more one-on-one time to whichever group of children they had been told were more intelligent. The whole experiment was conducted to see how teachers would react to the provided information and what effect it would have on students in each group.